Hello, brethren. Shalom to all those that are looking and searching and seeking. Howdy and hi to everyone else out there that stopped by. Thank you for stopping in to another presentation of the branches of Yah. We are today going to look at the word for worship in Hebrew, and that is shachah. So let's take a look at what worship looks like to Yah and what that word really means and what it's kind of trying to tell us. As I've told you before, please like, subscribe, and share, especially share the word, the hope that is in the name of Yahuwah. I just pray that you look into it, that you study and search the matter out for yourselves. He does say to study to show yourselves approved. We have to study, not just read, study. So I encourage each and every one of you to not yoke yourself to any particular person's teachings or their understanding, thinking that they've done their due diligence and they've looked into all these things, because a lot of times they've just copied and pasted from what other people have done without actually looking into it for themselves. And we've all done it. So I encourage you to go into each and every study that you have and go far deeper than any Strong's Concordance or Brown Driver's Briggs or even Jusinius or any of the rest of them out there. I encourage you to really dig deep into the word, to the letters, to get a fuller understanding. God has divulged himself to us, each and every one of us, through his word, through his letters. The whole story is spelt out before us. So with that being said, let's get on with the study. And we are going to go straight into shachah. And you don't need me here for this, so I will leave. Okay, as you can see on the screen, it is shachah. Now that is a shin, that's a het, and that's a hey. And that is the word for worship. For you shall worship no other Elohim. For Yahuwah, whose Shem or name is jealous, is a jealous all. Shemoth or Exodus 34:14. Now, there are only three words in Hebrew for the concept of worship. Now, one is asab, which is used just once in scripture for worship and conveys the idea of sorrow. And another is abad, which means service and is sometimes used for worshiper. However, when all is said and done, there's only one word in Hebrew for worship, and that is shachah, which simply means to bow down or fall prostrate. Now, obviously, this isn't that simple, is it? Because it really has a divulgence of Yahuwah's heart for us. So at least that's the Strong's basic definition. Shachah is the word used in the above verse. There is not too much more we can glean from shachah except to view how it is applied in Scripture, where we see it used as paying homage, either to Elohim or to someone or something else. This verse from Shemoth or Exodus suggests that bowing down to another Elohim, another mighty one, makes Elohim jealous. So there must be something pretty bad about bowing down before some other false Elohim. We can assume that such an act means to give of yourself and of your devotion to, as well as depend upon, the one to whom you bow. I have attended many worship services, but have not once seen many bow down to Elohim. In fact, the posture is usually the opposite, with everyone standing with arms outstretched. I rarely see shachah in Shabbats. And it's not to say you can't stand and pray to Yah with your arms outstretched, but he says, if my children should bow themselves, humble themselves, which means to bow yourself. So there's a lot about humbling or bowing yourself before Yah. Now, worship is such an important word in our vocabulary. What we apparently have very little insight into the dynamics of what worship really is. We appear to be doing what seems to work or what tradition tells us worship is. In services, worship is the recitation of the liturgical traditions in mainline churches. It is an order of service that lasts about an hour. It is the lifting of one's hands and the singing of choruses and love of mercy. Yet the word shacha, or worship, means to bow down or to prostrate yourself before Elohim. In essence, it has nothing to do with the music or with uplifting hands. In fact, it really has little to do with praise and thanksgiving, as these are manifestations of true worship. So you see that one elicits the other. Love elicits obedience. So does shacha elicits wanting to sing, wanting to raise praise and give thanksgiving to Yah in our effective true worship and our true shacha. So this is all what is this saying? The Hebrew is a particular combination of letters to express the most intimate aspect of our relationship with Elohim. The word shacha is spelled shin, chet, he. At least the Masoretes spelled it with a shin. Now, some scholars will argue that it should be a sin. A shin is identified by a dot on the right side of the letter, while a sin has a dot on the left side of the letter. In the original Hebrew text, there were no dots at all. They were added later. If shacha were spelled with a sin, the word would mean to swim or to have an overflow. Nevertheless, both shin and sin represent a wholeness, a completeness, and a nearness to Elohim. That's why I tell you, with the roots and all the words and the variations of those letters that can be made, they're all related. They're all beautiful. This is why the Hebrew words, Yah is divulging and diverging himself to us, his character, his name, his absolute message for us is in his letters. It's in his words. It's in every word that those letters can make. We'll get to that another time. I'm telling you, brethren, please, please, please go back into the word and study. Don't just read over and over to regurgitate something to somebody, to say, oh, it's in this chapter and it's this verse. That's great. That is great, but that's not studying. That's just memorization. Now, I know that's what we've all been taught in school, what learning was, but that's not true. Learning is having the intimacy with Yah that he has given through his word and through his letters. It's amazing. Anyways, brethren, that's why I want you, please, please don't follow other men, especially not converts. Don't follow them. Get what you glean, what you can from them. Use it as a springboard into your studying. Challenge and test everything that everyone brings to you, that you might find yourself found worthy, that you might find yourself as the type of faithful servant to Yah that will say, well done, well done. Anyways, the next letter in shacha is a het. Now, traditionally, the het represents an intimate joining of man to Elohim. If we assume that the first letter is a sin rather than a shin, which these are verbs and verb intensives, we can see how worship is pictured as swimming. When you swim, you are surrounded by water. You can worship while reading scripture by yourself, while studying the word of Elohim with other believers, while singing, or while sitting quietly before Elohim. Anytime Elohim has your single undivided attention, he can surround you with his presence and his love, just as water surrounds you when you're swimming. Isn't that a beautiful picture? That Elohim encompasses you. He gathers around you. He secures you within himself, within his word. Moreover, if you were to put a shin and a het together, you could find the word expresses worship. The final letter in the word shacha is a he. The he speaks of the breath of Elohim, of the presence of Elohim, and of Elohim's mothering nature. And that's in scripture. So if you've never heard that, it is in scripture that he will care for us like a mother. Hence, worship is an act that joins man with Elohim in a completeness that surrounds by the presence of the Ruach of Elohim. In the ancient Ugaritic language, this language was rediscovered in 1928, and next to the Dead Sea Scrolls, has been the single most important tool for the Hebrew scholars in clarifying the scriptural Hebrew text. And it was written in Kunea Abtar system, yet its grammar and style is clearly Hebraic. It is to classical Hebrew what Anglo-Saxon language is to our modern English or Anglish language. Now, there's a poem about a female deity who fell in love with a mortal man. Now, this is a Neo-Gardic language, and it showed that he had an intimate relationship with him. The word used to describe the relationship was a form of the word shekha, which became in the Hebrew language the word used for worship. The ancient concept of shekha is that of Elohim sharing his passion with a human being, and the human being sharing their passion with Elohim. Perhaps a better definition of worship would be Elohim sharing his passion, his desire, or his will with us as we share our passion with him, our desire for him. When two lovers share their passion with each other, the very nature of such sharing declares that they have an exclusive relationship with one another that they don't have with anyone else. That is what Elohim does when we accept that we will do all that he has said, and we become his children, and he becomes our Abba, that we may cry Abba, no longer just Yahuwah, but Abba, Father. It's a relationship that we have that not everyone does. They can, but they choose not to. That's why it's so important for you to share this wherever you can with whoever will listen. Let them know their hope is not in man. It's certainly not in politicians or the media or somebody who's going to rise up to the top of the fleshly man and do something. It's in our Father, and it's in his love that surrounds us. It's in his love that impassions us and encompasses us and keeps us safe. It's amazing. When two lovers share their passion with each other, the very nature of such sharing declares that they have an exclusive relationship with one another that they do not have with anyone else. They have given their hearts to each other. To share such passion with anyone else would violate a sacred trust built into that relationship. This is why Elohim is a jealous Elohim, and his name is jealous. It's protective. It's guarded. If you give your heart to him, he will give his heart to you. When you give your heart away to someone, you make yourself very vulnerable. You have given that person the power to abuse your heart and even to break it. When Yahuwah gives us his heart, he entrusts us with a lot of power. He gives us the power to abuse and break his heart. We believers have a tendency to be very careless with the heart Elohim has entrusted to us. Yet it would seem that according to Shemoth or Exodus 34:14, that his heart is easily broken. Brethren, worship isn't just the songs we sing or the gathering on Shabbat or doing obeisance. That's our reasonable service. That's the very least we can do. It is the love, the true love and worship. It is a longing and a desire that drops us to our knees when we think about his tender mercy and his love towards us. For he so loved the world. He so loved the world. Do we understand that? Our reasonable service is a worship that has us flat on our stomachs, prostrate before him with our hands outstretched before us and our face to the ground, loving him, making him our chief desire, our longing and our wanting for his heart and our heart to be one heart, united, ahad, one. This is the goal of our worship. Singing and praising and giving him thanks. These are all manifestations of a love and a passion so deep that it envelops us, that it is like water. It is like swimming. We are completely surrounded in him. Brethren, I encourage you, look into these words I'm going to start bringing more and more of this forth because I really, really want you to understand how important it is to know his word the way he wrote it, as he wrote it, because it means something. It's not just a love letter. In English, it's a terrible language to understand his word. The love letter that is expressed in Hebrew, in his language that he gave to us. Now, he gave that language to us, but no other language can express this. It's just lost in translation. Please search these matters out. Be better even than a Borean. Be more noble than a Berean. Be honorable before Yah. Study to show yourselves approved, but worship him. Worship him with all your heart, with everything that is within you. If you give him all of your heart, he's already laid his heart out before us and said, take it, it's yours. I've given it to you. And it's in his word. He expresses his very character, his very nature to us. It was expressed through his son, who took our place upon that stake, was whipped and spat upon and hated for our sake, that we might have a relationship back to his Father and be restored and renewed and refreshed in him. Let's not forsake him. Let's worship him. Let's YHWH. We love you and we thank you for always tuning in, and the more of you that tune in and the more of you that share this with people who will listen, people who will understand it's not just about preaching at people, it's about sharing. This is the least we can do, the very least. Anyways, we will see you guys next time. Thank you so much.